everybody. I am so happy to be back at Girls Right Now. I got involved, Molly told me, or someone told me, Emily, how many years it had actually been. I was like, it was just a couple of years ago. She was like, it was 9 years ago. I guess that's what happens when you have small children and your brain cells go away. But so I got involved with Girls Right Now right after I moved back to New York City from a few years away when I was in graduate school. And it was because I'd been in this really small, wonderful, supportive graduate program, but it was 6 people in Madison, Wisconsin, which meant that we were sort of like in an igloo together, basically frozen solid for 2 years. And there wasn't, I don't know, I needed more voices and more points of view, and I found Girls Right Now and immediately applied to be a mentor. And I was so thrilled to become a part of such a rich, diverse, varied group of girls and women. It was then, and obviously remains, such a vibrant group of people and such a vibrant community. I am in awe of all the work that Girls Right Now does. I know that I'm not the first to say it, and I certainly won't be the last, but the thing that I loved the most always, and we were talking about this upstairs, was at the monthly workshops, getting to hear from everyone. And so I feel like I've just crashed your party, and now I get to hear all of your pieces and poems, and I can't wait. So I'm gonna read a tiny bit. I'm gonna pretend that I wrote this in a workshop at Girls Right Now. It's about a teenage boy. I was gonna read a part about a teenage girl, but then there was a lot of swearing. So, I mean, obviously you guys don't care, but I don't know, we're in this beautiful room. I'm gonna read this part about a teenage boy. Is that all right? Or should I just do the teenage girl? Quick vote. Girl, okay. We know about swearing. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right, you asked for it. It's just a few F words right in the front, then it goes. Okay. See, this is so fun. Okay. Ruby hated the fucking SAT as much as she fucking hated high school. Both were examples of the patriarchy's insistence on male domination and total sexist bullshit like that. Whitman was a good school by Brooklyn private school standards, not the best, but not the worst. That was the polite, Ruby, after school, Ruby was taking a gap year. That was the polite way to put it. The truth was that she had gotten into exactly none of the 5 schools that she'd applied to, and that her falsely optimistic mothers were convinced that it was her SAT scores that were to blame, not her bad attitude or bad grades or shitty essays about being a black Jew with lesbian moms, the essay that everyone incorrectly assumed she would write. And so she was going to have to take another prep course the summer after her senior year. Who even did that? Nobody did that. It was a joke, and she was the punchline. Her phone vibrated on the bed. Meet me at the playground at 10. Dust was 19 with a chipped front tooth and a shaved head. He was one of the church kids, the tiny gang of skaters that spent all day kick-flipping off the church steps right across the street from Whitman. None of them went to school, as far as Ruby could tell, not even the ones who were under 18. Dust was their leader. He wore jeans that were the perfect size, not so tight they looked girly, but not so baggy that they looked like somebody's dad. Everything Ruby knew about the 1950s was from Grease and Rebel Without a Cause. Basically, being a teenager was the worst for everyone unless you were John Travolta, who was obviously 29 years old, and so it didn't matter anyway. The only kids at Whitman who ever spontaneously burst into song were the musical theater geeks, and Ruby hated them as much as she hated the athletes, who were even more pathetic given that Whitman barely had a gymnasium. Then there were the regular geeks who did nothing but study for tests, and then there were the do-gooders who were always trying to get you to sign their petition to kill the whales or save Ebola or whatever. The church kids were really her only hope sexually. Can't, she wrote back. My mom's book club is here at party time / shoot me. Calling her mother Mum wasn't a British affectation. There were two of them, Mom and Mum, and so she had to call them different things. Anyway, it didn't matter about the book club. That was only the most recent excuse. Ruby wouldn't have gone to the playground anyway. She'd broken up with Dust weeks ago, or at least she thought she had. There was the time they went to the diner on 7th Avenue and she wouldn't let him pay for her french fries, and then 2 days later she was leaving school and Dust was across the street. She pretended not to see him. The thing about Dust was that he wasn't smart or interesting, except if you were counting skateboarding or oral sex. For a few months, his messed up teeth and his bristly head and his crooked smile were enough, but after the effects of those wore off, they were left talking about American Idol, which they both hated, and the Fast and the Furious franchise, which Ruby hadn't seen. The problem with Ruby's moms was that their restaurant was 3 blocks from their house, and so you never knew when one of them was going to be home. What Ruby knew for sure that she didn't want was that she didn't want them to meet Dust. He was not made for parents. He was made for street corners and nuggets of hash, and Ruby was over it. She slumped off the bed and onto the floor and crawled over to her record player. While her mom was no one's idea of cool, Ruby's mom had her moments. The record player had been hers in college in the days when the dinosaurs had roamed the earth, but now it was Ruby's, and it was her most prized possession. If Dust had been worth her time, he would have known all the bands she loved to pay, the Raincoats, the X-Ray Specs, Bad Brains, but he only listened to dubstep, which was obviously one of humanity's greatest atrocities. Ruby pushed through the pile of records on the floor, spreading them out like tarot cards until she found what she was looking for. Aretha Franklin, Lady Soul. Aretha had never had a zine and probably hadn't pierced her own nose, but she was a badass anyway. Ruby put on side A, waited for the music to start, and looked at the ceiling. From the floor, she could hear the book club start to cackle. Honestly, it was like no one over 30 had ever gotten drunk before, and they were always doing it for the first time. Pretty soon they'd start talking about their spouses and their kids, and her mom would whisper when she said anything, but Ruby could always hear her, could always hear everything. Didn't parents get that? That even when you were on the other side of the house, your children could hear you because they had hearing like a fucking bat and you only thought you were whispering. The summer already sucked and it hadn't even started yet. Okay. So I'm really excited to get the ball rolling. And I'd like to introduce our first mentee reader, Janny Huang, reading Opening Pandora's Box. Janny.